All right, here we are on the bottom. We're down about 23 feet.
It's hard to say just what Bocast heard.
Yeah, I just turned them off.
As they continue scanning the waters for the source behind the strange sound, the massive storm quickly begins closing in on them.
This isn't a drill. We got to go in now.
Yep.
I think we better secure everything on board. And I want to get in before we get into that lightning.
While Bocast cuts his search of Lake Champlain short, LeBlond and his team in Canada change tactics.
And we're at the surface.
So far, the crew has struck out in searching for the creature at the bottom of the water, so they shift their focus to the surface.
It's calm at the surface.
Still no action?
Nothing yet. Okay, we're gonna try going to the bottom.
Go back to the bottom. See what's happening down there. We can have a good look at what's happening, but nothing is really happening yet.
Nothing
No,
yet.
nothing.
LeBlond is unable to find any signs of the creature.
If you never look, you'll never find anything. We plumbed the depths. We had a look at the bottom of the inlet, and I don't think we could have spent any longer in one day. It's not the capture, it's the hunt that's interesting. If it's there, we'll find it eventually.
LeBlond and his team in Canada call it a day and head for land. But in Lake Champlain, Bocast and Bristow have more work to do. They have found shelter from the storm that cut their audio expedition short. Bocast analyzes the audio files he captured, hoping to find a recording of something that might match the claimed sightings.
I've got a couple, looks like rapping sounds or something like that. Let's zoom in on that. Looks like we have some intensity here.
And when you say intensity, you think might be a fish species?
These are not echolocation sounds. But the sounds I picked up today, I don't know that I got very much in terms of bioacoustic signal, to be honest.
So it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
The weather definitely impacted our chances on recording interesting sound because the more audio you get, the more chance you have of getting some kind of good results.
All Bocast picked up were man-made sounds, and no trace of the creature that people say they've seen here. Scientists say there's a more logical explanation for what people are witnessing. Some believe that the creature in Lake Champlain is really a giant sturgeon. Sturgeon are living fossils and proven survivors. They've prowled the seas for 135 million years, ever since the reign of the dinosaurs.
People who see sturgeon spawning for the first time are usually quite surprised at the kind of things that they can do to the surface. It's not something that you would see usually.
Most of the time you don't see them. They're underwater, they're 10, 20, 30 feet down. It's the unexpected.
When they do surface, these prehistoric-looking creatures have large snouts and scaly skin, which is why they could be mistaken for mysterious sea creatures.
Lake sturgeon, normally they grow to about 6 feet, but one of the attributes of fish is fish don't stop growing. They continue to grow throughout their lives. Atlantic sturgeon can reach 12, 15 feet. That's huge, and it's a bigger species in the lake.
The biggest species of sturgeon can weigh more than 1,000 kilograms.
That's a monster, just by definition. A monster is something big, scary, that you can't explain in your normal context of life. Got a monster with a sturgeon, absolutely.
I think the creature was definitely not a fish, definitely not a snake, and definitely not a mammal.
But I know there's been sightings of something out there beyond a fish, beyond the sturgeon, that is a mystery.
And still others believe that a completely new species may be what people are seeing.
So the ocean remained mysterious because they're difficult to get to, and they're very large, they're very deep, and they're very inhospitable, and they're full of strange creatures. People continue to discover new animals in the ocean, especially at great depths. All kinds of weird creatures with all kinds of legs and eyes and appendages that we don't understand.
While searches have come up empty in Lake Champlain in Western Canada, on Loch Ness, Takala thinks his cameras have picked up on something. Something he claims supports another hypothesis.
What I'm looking at here is a strange dark region in the waves where our camera has actually zoomed onto the loch, the surface of the loch. You can see other grey and dark areas. This is particularly dark and forms a distinct shape, so we traced it. And it, to us anyway, looks like it could be a plesiosaur, a creature from the dinosaur period swimming in Loch Ness.
It's been 65 million years since plesiosaurs ruled the waterways. But some say this creature still lives in Loch Ness. Landscaper Richard Preston knows he saw something out there, and Takala has studied his photos closely, searching for evidence that it could be a plesiosaur.
I think that the reason that people look into Loch Ness or Lake Champlain and see a plesiosaur is that they see a monster.
Dr. Robin O'Keefe is a paleontologist who specializes in marine reptiles.
Plesiosaurs are unique. They're a group of animals that don't look like any other animal. The plesiosaur is an interesting and I think kind of sexy animal with this long neck and this small head and this humpy back. They all had 4 flippers that they used to fly around with underwater. The best analogs that we have alive today are things like sea lions or even penguins. Plesiosaurs are relatively large animals. They varied in size from under 2 meters to up to 12 to 15 meters.
But there's a problem with the theory that the Loch Ness monster is a plesiosaur.
We have good evidence that this big asteroid or comet hit the Earth about 65.5 million years ago. And that caused the death of the dinosaurs and also the death of plesiosaurs. Is there any evidence that plesiosaurs could have evolved until now, until recent times? I have never seen any evidence, personally.
Off the coast of South Africa, a group of fishermen found this fish, the coelacanth, in the 1930s. A species thought to have vanished 80 million years ago.
This was one of those so-called living fossils. It's a very large fish. It occurs in very deep waters. We still have so much to learn about our planet and the species that occur there in these mysterious environments.
As far as evolution, who knows what a dinosaur would look like after millions and millions of years, how it would adapt to its environment, how it would change physically and everything else. When people report things, they describe things that are reptilian and mammalian.
O'Keefe doesn't see any evidence that science is wrong this time.
Plesiosaurs breed there. We know that because they were reptiles. So they're going to have to surface to breathe. And if they're going to surface, then they're going to be in places where people can see them. They're also relatively large animals, and as large animals, they're going to be difficult to hide.
Scientists say there's little chance that a dinosaur could survive in secret with no carcass ever found.
As a paleontologist, I would be happier than anyone if we could find a plesiosaur living in the oceans or in Loch Ness or anywhere. Up till now, I have seen no evidence.
All of us who have observed the animal and understand that it is there would like answers to a lot of questions. But I think the persistence of the sightings confirms that there's something out there that people are seeing. I mean, people are just not making this stuff up.
I'm quite confident that I'm not exaggerating what I saw. There's definitely something unknown in the lake, because there's so many sightings of something.
Scientists believe there are most likely logical reasons for the sightings.
Well, there's both aspects of marine animals, like some very large fish. There's one fish that looks like a giant eel that can reach almost up to 30 feet. Likewise, the basking shark, which are very large. It has a mouth that opens to about a meter or so. So these are out there all the time, and some of them have peculiar shapes, and so if one of these is floating and bobbing up in the waves, it can look like a peculiar creature.
Researchers learn more about our oceans every day. And despite evidence against creatures like the Loch Ness Monster, Walton and others like him say they'll keep looking.
I still think that we know more about the surface of the moon than we do of our own oceans, and that's something that should change in the future.
I've always said that I would keep looking until there's no more breath left in me. It's incredibly hard to prove that the monster exists, so we keep looking, and one day we will find it.
I took a picture, I saw what I saw, and people can make their mind up from that.
We still want something beyond us, dragons, something bigger than us, something more, something we cannot fully understand.
There are lots of theories about what could be out there, but still no definitive answer.
What's quite mysterious about this animal is that it doesn't look like anything else that we know. It doesn't look like a whale. It does not look like sea lions. It doesn't look like an elephant seal. None of the above. Whenever I'm on the ocean, I look out and perhaps one day I'll be lucky and see it.
Investigators around the world have searched for the truth behind strange reports of aquatic beasts. Researchers, eyewitnesses, and scientists alike have considered many possible explanations for these mythical creatures.
There's very few facts and much speculation in this business. And so we don't know, really.
Despite logical scientific explanations, people will continue to be captivated by tales of fantastical monsters in our seas, and the legends will live on.
There will always be things on Loch Ness that people do not understand. And in a place like this, with the reputation that it has, they will be interpreted as possible Loch Ness monsters. The legend will continue, I'm sure, for quite a long time. And if one day I prove to be entirely wrong, I'll be delighted.
We need to find much more realistic, tangible animal out there, either through